Many of you might not remember the good old days when Konami was a publisher with high-quality annual releases, but I remember it when we didn't have to wait decades to play the next installment of great franchises, such as Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hill. In fact, Silent Hill was one of the few really good and technically advanced survival horrors of the time, going toe-to-toe with the Resident Evil franchise when it came to popularity. Silent Hill was so popular that its second installment sold more than 1 million copies just 1 month after its release, a definite milestone for a game released back in 2001, when there were no digital distribution platforms such as Steam available yet. Like most survival horrors, Silent Hill has its fair share of bone-chilling monstrosities, and the most famous of them is the Pyramid Head. First encountered in the universally acclaimed Silent Hill 2, Pyramid Head not only became the mascot of the entire franchise, but was easily recognized as one of the most terrifying video game monsters. With all of its popularity and recognition, Pyramid Head's origins and symbolism have always been the subject of interpretations. Due to the subjective nature of the story, settings, and characters in the Silent Hill franchise, which will be discussed further here, and differences in creative vision between the developers of the games throughout time, not to mention multiple endings available for almost every installment of the game, it's pretty difficult to come up with a universally approved interpretation of the iconic monster. But by analyzing each major appearance of Pyramid Head, we can find out what it is and what it represents. Birth of a monster. Pyramid Head was developed by character designer and art director Masahiro Ito. Ito was a member of Team Silent in Konami and worked on the design of creatures and environments for the first 3 main installments in the series. After Resident Evil successfully created monsters like Mr. X and Nemesis that stalked the players throughout the game and weren't only limited to one-time boss fights, Konami wanted to create its own stalkers for Silent Hill 2. Ito already came up with the first sketches of the monster after he finished working on the first game. He was adamant that though the monster had a humanoid body, it shouldn't have a face, so that it could be more terrifying. Thus began Ito's search for the right kind of mask to cover the monster's face. The first mask was like those worn by plague doctors, albeit with a longer nose. Since that looked too humanoid, Ito came up with a giant pyramidal helmet inspired by the front hull of German tanks. Consequently, the looks of one of the most fearsome monsters of the gaming industry were finalized, but like any other well-written character, Pyramid Head needed a backstory in order to leave a legacy behind. Since Silent Hill's monsters and distasteful locations were a blend of the town's tragic past and the manifestation of the subconscious mind of those who were trapped in it, Pyramid Head's appearance needed to be partly rooted in the town's history. Not long ago, a mysterious cult started to form in Silent Hill. The clothing worn by them were robes, long sleeves with gloves, as well as big cone-shaped hoods. The pyramid-shaped headpiece and robes of the Pyramid Head are the twisted manifestation of the executioner's attire. Yet, when it comes to explaining the monster's symbolism, not everything is as straightforward as the creature's looks. The meaning behind the monster. As already mentioned, Pyramid Head's debut game was Silent Hill 2. Ito wanted the monster to be a reflection of the past and psyche of James Sunderland, the protagonist of the game. James came to Silent Hill hoping to find his presumably deceased wife, but, major spoiler alert, he killed his wife with his own hands to end her suffering from a terminal illness. That's why some believe Pyramid Head is the manifestation of judgment and retribution. He pursues those who are guilty and punishes them for their sins. This explanation is perhaps the most consistent one based on the monster's reappearance in later installments, namely Silent Hill Homecoming, but Masahiro Ito never considered the later iterations of the iconic monster in line with his original vision. That's why this consistent interpretation of Pyramid Head is not necessarily the best one. Based on the symbols associated with the monster throughout Silent Hill 2, Pyramid Head is more than a punishment symbol. The pyramid itself is a symbol entangled with death. Ancient Egyptians regarded pyramids as resurrection machines that connected the earth to the skies. Throughout Silent Hill 2, Pyramid Head opens up new passages for James so that he can go further with his search for truth. Whether it is intentional or not is of course a subject of debate, but the occasional helpful nature of Pyramid Head can't be ignored. On the other hand, when the monster is finally killed at the end of the game, it drops an egg collected by James, which is again a symbol of birth and life after hardship. So the monster could represent James's journey of death through bearing the devastating pain of his wife's death, and rebirth by accepting the truth and finding closure so that he could start a new life. Pyramid Head could also represent the dark side of James's subconscious mind, a representation of the primitive desires that people bury deep down in their subconscious minds. It's pure desire without remorse or repercussions. The very first time James meets Pyramid Head, the creature is standing lifelessly behind some iron bars, just like the desires that are imprisoned by a sense of morality. Later on, the monster is seen like it's attacking other in-game monsters, notably a mannequin, and as already mentioned, its actions also open up rather unconventional paths for James. Another fact that supports this interpretation is that the deeper James journeys throughout the hellish world of Silent Hill, and the closer he gets to the unpleasant truth, the stronger Pyramid Head becomes. James's final confrontation with the monster is when he realizes he is guilty for the death of his wife, and this time 2 Pyramid Heads are trying to punish him. It's when he finally accepts the truth that the 2 monsters fall on their spears and kill themselves. So, James couldn't kill the monster, he was helped by it, he did his best to avoid it, and ultimately accepting the guilt gets him rid of it. It's a perfect symbol of a man's fight with his own darkness and suffering, trying to avoid them. Unfortunately, later iterations of the monster are not as deep and meaningful as the first one. In Silent Hill Homecoming, the monster is just a symbol of punishment, born from hatred and wrath, seeking those who hurt the innocent. In Silent Hill the Arcade, Pyramid Head is one of the game's final bosses, totally devoid of any meaning and symbolism. Silent Hill 2's version is tied to James Sunderland's past, and that's why Ito insisted on keeping its present limited to Silent Hill 2. He masterfully designed Pyramid Head with such a rooted existence in the world of Silent Hill that there are rarely other monsters in the history of video games with a more impactful and meaningful interaction with the game's protagonists. With Silent Hill 2 Remake on the horizon, we will get the chance to meet this otherworldly being once again exactly where it belongs. So, what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.